You know, it still absolutely blows my mind that Nintendo treated the Zelda 35th anniversary like it didn't even exist. I mean, they didn't even add The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD or Twilight Princess onto the Nintendo Switch, but we got games like the first Hyrule Warriors, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and Pinball Arcade? What is even going on here, Nintendo? In this video, we are going to talk about what Zelda games we could see Nintendo release if Nintendo decides to delay The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. So, Future Robert here. This video was recorded like a day before Breath of the Wild 2 was delayed, so if I say anything like if Breath of the Wild 2 was delayed, that's why. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, it helps the video out a lot, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at roborob93. First up on the list that I think we could see is The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD hitting the Nintendo Switch. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD was released in 2002 on the Nintendo GameCube and later released on the Nintendo Wii U with Wind Waker HD, giving it a nice upgrade over, I almost messed up there, giving it a nice upgrade over the GameCube version. Now back in February of 2021, trademark renewals for The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD were seen for this game, sparking the Legend of Zelda 35th anniversary rumors that started to fly around. Now as time went on and we stepped into 2022, those rumors naturally went away. But I do have to say, Wind Waker HD would probably be the easiest Zelda port for Nintendo to do, and here's why. Not much really needs to be done for the game. I mean, the game is cel-shaded, it's an art style that has aged very well, especially for Wind Waker HD being released on the GameCube. When you factor in there is already an HD version on the Wii U, bringing it over to the Nintendo Switch is pretty simple. Now there were other trademark renewals as well. There was one for Wind Waker and also Skyward Sword, which was renewed as well, and as we've seen with Skyward Sword HD releasing on the Nintendo Switch, it did happen. Now Skyward Sword was released on the Nintendo Switch in 2021, so it's safe to say that at least in Skyward Sword's case, the trademark renewal was a hint that that Zelda game was coming to the Nintendo Switch. So let's hope the same can be said for The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. The next game that I could see Nintendo doing, if not the Wind Waker, is The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Now this is one Zelda game that many of you guys have said in the comment section that you would love to see on the Nintendo Switch. Now as someone who barely even played this game, I would also love that as well, and please don't kill me in the comment section after hearing that. I didn't have a lot of money during the Wii U. In fact, I'm still broke as the jokes in this video, so nothing's really changed. Now as with Wind Waker, an HD version of Twilight Princess already released on the Nintendo Wii U with The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, so a port to the Nintendo Switch is something that I could see happening. And just like Wind Waker HD, it really wouldn't take too much work since an HD version already exists, though I think in Twilight Princess's case, it would more than likely receive more work on that game because it isn't cel-shaded, so a big upgrade in resolution and any frame rate problems could be steamed out, and overall a better upgrade over the Wii U one, which would be nice. I mean, heck, since Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is getting DLC, why not bring some DLC back for older games as well? That would be really cool as well. Could you imagine getting additional content for these Zelda games? That would be pretty cool actually. That's a really good idea. Tired Robert is actually pretty smart. For the most part, I do tend to mess up a lot in my videos. Now, assuming that you're still interested in The Legend of Zelda and are thinking, how the heck did they treat The Legend of Zelda 35th anniversary like it's just some small franchise and give Mario for his 35th everything? Click the top right corner to learn why I think they did this, and if not, let's talk about what Zelda games we could see. Now there was some Zelda news about the devs behind the original port of The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess saying that Nintendo has not asked them to do a port yet, and you could say that this means that they're not doing it. Nintendo isn't going to bring this game to the Nintendo Switch, but in my opinion, I think that means that they haven't asked them to do it. They could very well ask someone else to do it. Video in the top right corner if you want to watch that, but I think that they could very well ask someone else to do it. Now with that being said, what I could see Nintendo doing is putting Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess, and Phantom Hourglass on the Nintendo Switch. I think having all of those games in one pack on the Nintendo Switch would be really cool. Now the reason why I say Phantom Hourglass is because that was part of the trademark renewals in 2020. The games that were renewed were The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. We know that Skyward Sword was already released. As for Ocarina and Majora's Mask, we know that's on the Nintendo Switch Online service, so the only one left is Phantom Hourglass. And now that I think about it, reading that off the script, that actually is a very good point. What is going on with Phantom Hourglass if all of these were already used by Nintendo? We see what you're doing, Nintendo. We see the signs. There's gonna be something for Phantom Hourglass at E3, isn't there? We're not as dumb as you think we are. But anyways, here is the thing. What if Nintendo were making a Phantom Hourglass remake? Now, stick with me here as I jump down the rabbit hole a bit. Grezzo was the one behind the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake, which was the perfect remake in my opinion. A golden standard for bringing back these classic Zelda games. Back in February of 2021, Grezzo was looking for a certain type of skill for a new game, and this is what Screen Rant said. Japanese video game developer Grezzo, the company behind the Nintendo Switch remake of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, is hiring new staff for a stylish and medieval game. Grezzo has a long history with Nintendo, as well as working on Link's Awakening remake. Grezzo has also worked on other Nintendo Switch titles such as Ocarina of Time 3D remake for the Nintendo 3DS in 2011 and Line Attack Heroes for the Wii in 2010. So a stylish and medieval game, plus they did the Link's Awakening remake, plus the Ocarina of Time. Ocarina? Is that how you say it? I'm just gonna say Ocarina of Time 3DS remake. But yeah, they made that for the 3DS. I mean, come on, the writing is on the wall. We know what you're up to, Grezzo. Give us that Phantom Hourglass remake, or even perhaps a sequel. That'd be pretty cool too. Though I do have to say, somehow they would have to get around the stylus mechanics of this game. That would be a big problem in development of this port or remake or whatever they're gonna do with this, if they do. The Nintendo Switch does have a touchscreen though, and I can totally see them using the Joy-Cons as well. Those have motion sensors in them too, so they can use that as a stylus too. And even using the left stick as a stylus as well could be possible as well. Now, if it isn't Phantom Hourglass, I could also see another Zelda game. Now, this has been a rumor for quite some time, a Zelda game that I've never played at all, but you guys have been telling me that I should play it because it is a really good Zelda game, and that is The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. Now, a remake of this game has been rumored from a lot of Nintendo leakers, but the most notable one, which me saying this about this Nintendo leaker is kind of surprising to myself, is New Micro Mario, who you can always bet on being right in some way, shape, or form, about 50% of the time, which makes what he says next is a double-edged sword. As I stated a year ago, there is a remake for Oracle of Ages/Seasons in the work, 2022 through 2023. There were plans to include a third game that was planned originally for the Game Boy Color. What it's clear is, since it started, is that it's separate releases. And that last sentence just makes zero sense. I don't know what he was saying right there, but you guys get the point. Now, since then, New Micro Mario is teasing this game again right before E3, so you never really know. Now, New Micro Mario was correct about Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo Switch Online service. Kind of. And also right about Majora's Mask. Kinda. If you couldn't tell, he's always kinda right. Although sometimes he does get it exactly right, like the Kirby date, which was March 25th. But in the end, those games did release on the Nintendo Switch Online service with the Nintendo 64 version, so I guess you could say he was right. Kinda. And the next game that Nintendo could use to replace The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. So if you guys haven't heard yet, The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap did get a trademark renewal, and as we know, sometimes Nintendo does like to do things with their trademark renewals, and that's why they renew them. Now keep in mind, this was right around the time that we had the Game Boy Advance emulator rumors and leaks coming out, so we gotta be careful with that. Because if you guys haven't heard yet, there was a Game Boy Advance emulator that was leaked out and is fully playable and has been used for plenty of Game Boy Advance games. So Game Boy Advance games could be coming to the Nintendo Switch Online service, and one of those games could be Minish Cap, and that's why the trademark was renewed. Video on that in the top right corner of this video. Anyways, as I was saying, these are just a couple games that I could see Nintendo using as a way to hold over fans for the Nintendo Switch Online service. Some of them are out there, some of them don't make sense, some of them could happen, who knows. I don't even know what I'm doing in this video. I just had this idea and decided to just go on it. Maybe it's all wrong, maybe Breath of the Wild 2 won't be delayed, which, you know, that'd be cool too. I guess we'll see in the future. And if not, on your way out, make sure you subscribe for more videos and also have that notification bell on. And if you want to support the channel in any other way, there is my Patreon and Twitter account in the pinned comment if you're interested in those. Oh, and also have this donut if you're still sticking around for me rambling. Thanks for watching, guys, and remember, stay safe, stay charged, and have a good one.